You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your always cheerful host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco.
See, he's not cheerful at all, folks, and to counterbalance that, that's why I make you all suffer through the engineering joke of the week. Okay, Rocco, are you ready for this?
I think so.
Did you hear about the engineer who wrote a book on the history of glue making?
Okay. Sure.
I read it and I couldn't put it down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really.
It's one of the worst. All right, folks. We have an old friend on the show today. Todd Rogers of Walter P. Moore is back on the podcast. So Todd, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Oh man, always a pleasure to join you guys.
Yeah, I like the way Todd lies. That's why we have him back on. He pretends he likes us. But for those of you who don't know, Todd is the BIM manager at Walter P. Moore, and he also sits on the board of directors for Augie. And he's one of the editors for the Augie World magazine. So he's always a blast to have him on here. So for those who kind of don't remember you from the last times or multiple times you've been on the show, Todd, why don't you give listeners a little bit of your background and what your role is over at Walter Moore?
Yeah, so BIM Manager is such a weird title, but it is my title. I do BIM management, but I also do many other things there as far as technical support, setting up workstations to work correctly using the software. Also do some training. We've recently acquired Eagle Point Pinnacle Series, new LMS, so hopefully I won't have to do much training anymore. But, oversee the infrastructure department, make sure the wheels are in motion and stay greased.
Those are mildly important functions, right? You keep things going.
Just mildly, yeah.
Mildly. And are you still working with Augie, right? What are you doing over there?
Yep, so I am the treasurer on the board of directors and the editor-in-chief for Augie World magazine, and also a co-owner of the United States Premier Women's Football League.
That's
which
right,
has
I remember that.
taken off, man. It's going to be super awesome in 2025.
That's awesome. So everybody should definitely give them the website. Tell them where to go.
There you go. So go to the it's simply uspwfl.org.
There you go. And you can see all of the awesome football, man. I love football.
Yeah,
this is my favorite time of
16
year. I love when football is rolling. All right. So other than football, the topic that Todd is actually here to talk about today, it's a new civil system that's out on the market that he really likes. And, Rocco and I have looked into it a little bit, and it seems really impressive. And it is called Beyond Typicals. And it's a tool for 3D roadway and infrastructure visualization, that can really help, I think, when you're doing, preliminary and initial designs, right? And Todd's been, using it to handle, a lot of his, road and bridge designs over at Walter P. Moore, and he kind of brought it to Zentech's attention a few months back, and we figured it would be a great tool to talk about on the show. So Todd, let's kind of start with what you're doing right now, right? How is Walter Moore handling, typical section design today?
Today we are fully integrated with the Beyond Typicals.
Oh, are you? I thought you guys were still working through that.
Oh no, we've fully implemented it. I was put on the beta program for that, and we were actually the first customer to become an enterprise customer with Beyondware. Sam Lytle, the owner and creator of this, used to own Civil FX. So he was actually one of the first, civil people to start doing visualization for civil. And in the past, we've used what is that crazy looking typical section software? It's real bland looking that a lot of people use. Street Mix or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, when he came out with this, I'm like, dude, this is a game changer. This is going to blow people's minds. And TextDot just absolutely ate it up alive. They love it. And everything we do, they want it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we had a chance to meet with Sam. We'll talk a little bit about that, but yeah, it's it really is visually it's impressive, and I found it just easy to use. So
Very easy.
yeah. All right, so I tell you what, let's kind of get into the actual Beyond Typicals concept, right, and what we're really talking about. Like I said earlier, right, the program it's a typical section generator in fully rendered, really beautiful 3D. But I think that that kind of oversimplifies what this system can do for you, right? It adapts very easily to whatever kind of work you're dealing with, planning and bridges and safety and road processes. All it handles all of them very easily. But even that, right? Describing it that way, that's kind of the info you can go and read off of their website, right? I want to let Todd tell you kind of about this system in his own words. All right. So how do you describe it, Ty? Right? What exactly is Beyond Typicals, and what are the uses that you're seeing for this in your company?
Yeah. So basically, everybody knows what a typical section is. It's a cross section of your road design, right? So looking at this on the paper, oh yeah, I see what's going on. But you take this and put it in a 3D model, which this thing, you're basically just dragging and dropping things and changing widths and everything, automatically labels it. It's super granular. It's the, it runs off Unreal Engine, so Unreal Engine 5. So it's, super, super realistic looking, with animations. You can bring in your own assets. So how like I said, we used to use Street Mix, and when I showed them this and showed them exactly what they did in Street Mix, they said, "Well, we need to start doing this," and they sent it to TextDot, and TextDot, like I said, TextDot just went nuts, and almost everything we do now is done with this. Now, also the cool thing about this, not only is it done at my company for typical sections, when Sam and them developed the, what is it called, photo composition, when they put the photo composition in there, we started changing everything. Like, so for example, if you take that typical section and you make it 1,000 feet long, you can take a screenshot of Google Maps Street View and place it in there and adjust this typical section in there where it actually looks like you're on the road. So you can do an existing condition and show the video swiping by into the proposed condition with the actual houses and buildings shown in this model. You're not just throwing a building in there saying, typical. Everyone wants to see the actual building that's sitting there, right? And this is a great way of showing that.
Yeah, it really is impressive, and the graphics and the ease of update is really staggering. So Rocco, right? You and I, we had a demo by Sam of Beyond Typical. What did you think about it, right? And kind of from a business standpoint, where do you see it fitting kind of into our civil client base?
Yeah, it's funny because a salesperson or sales management person looks at it from a different angle. And when Steve Fahey's also president of Zentech Canada here and oversees sales at Zentech Canada. So when we both looked at it, we looked at it with kind of the sales mentality, and we were like, this is a fantastic presentation tool. This product can help to sell jobs, and it's funny because Todd, you even kind of referenced that I saw your quote on on the Beyond Typicals website. You kind of reference that as part of your quote. So that's how we saw it and how folks could use it. From the presentation end, we didn't see it so much as a design tool, but that's what Todd's here to talk about.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, I'm always interested, right, in finding new systems and new processes that are of use to our listeners. But to be honest, this one hadn't even hit my radar until Todd brought it to our attention, and I was actually pretty surprised that I hadn't heard about it, because we watch the civil infrastructure space pretty closely to see what new technologies are breaking. So, Todd, let me ask you this, right? How did you actually wind up first hearing about Beyond Typicals, and what kind of caught your eye about it that made you test it out to start?
Yeah, it's funny. Sam initially developed Beyond CAD, so it was supposed to be like a competitor to InfoWorks and Twinmotion type deal.
Right.
And I've followed Sam for years, and his way of working the civil world into visualization. And so I was really interested in this, and I was beta testing it for him. And, he's like, well, we're working on this over here. What do you think about it? And I'm like, dude, forget Beyond CAD. You need to focus on this right here. This is huge. And, he's like, well, here's some betas, here's some free versions, test it out, tell me what works, tell me what doesn't work, what it needs, what it doesn't need. And next thing you know, Beyond CAD was just a thing of the past. Now, mind you, he's working on some new stuff that is way better than Beyond CAD now, and this is going to be a game changer too. I can't wait. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention it or not. I'll just keep it right there for now.
Don't want to break any embargoes and cause any problems.
That's right, man. And I've been promoting Sam's product ever since it came out and introducing him to some people at Autodesk and stuff because, we were talking at one point in time, well, maybe this could be incorporated into InfoWorks somehow and help with that, initial here's what it should be and here's how easy it is to throw it together, so nothing really came about it that way, and I'm kind of glad because Sam deserves all of this recognition for putting this together, and man, he's just he hired Brian Schroff, and that guy's just amazing with the software. When I come to a point where I can't get something figured out, I always email Brian, and he's got some kind of workaround every single time.
Yeah. It's nice when you can also get the support for it, so that's cool.
Yes.
All right, I tell you what, folks, let's get a break in here so we can listen to the sponsors for today. And when we get back, I want to talk with Todd about, I guess we'll call it the practical adoption and how he actually uses Beyond Typicals. All right, so stay tuned, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, Rocco, so we are sponsoring ourselves yet again today. What is it we want to talk about?
We're going to talk about me today, Jim.
No one wants to talk about you. Not even you.
Oh, fine. Let's talk about Zentek Tech Blocks.
Awesome. I like Zentek Tech Blocks. Zentek Tech Blocks are prepaid support hours that let you call on Zentek's experienced technical staff to address all your support questions, problems, help you with workflows and standards, really anything you need on the technology side. We're here to provide the support you need so that your most talented people aren't being dragged into helping everybody else in your company instead of working on the billable jobs that you need them focused on. All right. So Zentek Tech Blocks are available in multiple sizes. We sell them in 5-hour, 10-hour, 20-hour, and 40-hour prepaid support blocks. And if you're interested and you need that sort of help, Rocco, how do they reach out to us?
Yeah, hit up our website, zentechconsultants.net. Give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
All right, Zentek Tech Blocks, the vital support that your people need exactly at the moment that they need it. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with Todd Rogers of Walter P. Moore today about a really cool program called Beyond Typicals, right, for the civil world. And in the top of the podcast, we talked about, I guess, what the program can do, right? And in this half rather, I'd like to focus on the practical use of Beyond Typicals, right? And what it takes to implement and use it on a regular basis for your projects. So Todd, let's start with usage, right? Is Beyond Typicals difficult to use, and kind of what's been the learning curve that you've had to work through, kind of getting your team comfortable using it, on a regular basis?
Yeah, so it's funny, we were trying to get into this, doing it ourselves, and what I would do would be to take a road design in InfraWorks and take a little snippet of it and send it in Twin Motion and do the visualization for a quote-unquote 3D typical section in Twin Motion. So this process literally took me, oh gosh, I want to say a couple of days to get a typical section that looked good. With this software, it literally takes me no longer than 30 minutes to put this together. So they have these pre-made, what they call assets in there. And, basically you have a road, you have, sidewalks, curbs and things, and you just basically drag and drop it into it, and it connects to the other part. Then you go over to your little asset card and you give it the widths. You can even change the material of it. So if it's showing asphalt, you can change it to a new concrete. You can show, he's got materials in there where you can show cracked asphalt and stuff for existing conditions. And it's just really realistic looking. And, something that took, 16 plus hours is now done in 30 minutes. It's really stupid. It's so easy.
Yeah, I mean that's a heck of a productivity game right there. Yeah, like I said, I was
for real
watching it through the demo, and I was stunned at how quick and simple it went. And with the demo, right? You always had like, well, is it cleaned? Is it canned? Is it sanitized? But yeah, talking to Todd, he was like, no, that's what it really takes.
Yeah, and you asked about getting my team comfortable with it. It's literally showing them how it works, and then they take it and they do better typical sections than I do. It's like, I told you it was easy.
Hey, like I said, how do you go wrong? Right? When you get something that is simple to use and gives you a better output, I mean, that's a no-brainer right there.
That's a win.
Yeah. So I tell you what, folks. So you guys know me listening to the show, right? I'm a longtime civil designer. So my first thought when Todd brought Beyond Typicals to my attention was how am I going to take this data and transfer it into my engineering design? And like I said, we set up a demo with Sam, who is a software developer, and I was actually really surprised because he was very adamant about it, that his focus for this, it isn't on using this so much as a design tool, but more of a presentation tool for owners and planning boards and agencies and so on. It's kind of a different perspective than I was expecting, right? Since they really seem to have little interest in taking the sections right into your design system like Civil 3D or BricsCAD Civil. They're like, look, you guys know how to do that. You didn't do it anyway. You just need to get the information set up and approved, and you can handle the design inside those systems without interacting with us. So, Tad, let me ask you this, right? Where specifically are you using the output from Beyond Typicals the most, right? Are you using it? Is it for discussion with clients, or is it for planning board presentation, or is it something else entirely that I'm missing?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and exactly what you said. It's not really a design tool at all. And what we're mainly using it for is setting this up for planning boards. And TxDOT takes this and presents this to the public. It's so easy to get the design idea across to people when you're looking at something like this, opposed to something in 2D, where you're going to get a gazillion questions and you can answer those gazillion questions and they still don't get it because they can't visualize it, right? So, typical people out there, they want to know, where is this encroaching on my property? You know, when you redesign this road and you put in this new storm system and new sidewalk, how much, you know, of my property am I going to lose, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it, right? You know, and I think we lose that sometimes, right? Because we work in this industry, we've been living and breathing it for decades, and for us, you know, visualization is second nature, right? We can look at a plan and I can tell you exactly how that's going to look in the real world, but most people don't work in our industry, and they can't do that. And you've got to get that handoff and that support from the public in order to make these projects move forward. You know, so I think it's something like this is really, really priceless. So, you know, Rocco, like I was saying earlier, right? You know, we talked with, you know, Sam, the owner of Beyond Typicals, about possibly partnering with him on this product, right? And we didn't, right? Mainly because, like I said, we focus on the design processes where they're not. But I mean, in terms of this visualization, do you see a large need with our clients in the civil world for a pure presentation tool like this?
You know, I don't. It's not something that I ask because we didn't get deep into, you know, looking at selling the products. It's not something that I ask a lot of people about. I mean, it makes sense, and it seems to be a pretty affordable tool, right? It's just under $2,000 a year per license. But it you know, from the consumer standpoint, like we were just saying, I think it's a product that that helps visualize everything a lot more clear, right? Civil 3D is a great package, but it's not a presentation package, and it's not a tool that you want to use out there to sell jobs. So, kind of going back to my original point before.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, hey, and look, so you know, everybody listening, you should at least take the idea, right? We're not partnered with Beyond Typical, so we have no horse in this race. This is just letting you know, we saw a package, Todd showed it to us, and we're like, it's really impressive, and it is worth, you know, letting everybody out there know about it. All right, so I tell you what, folks, you know, as always, I like to let our guest get the last word in on the you know, the topic du jour, to tell you guys something that they know that I didn't think to ask them about. So Todd, how about it? What else do you think our listeners should know or consider about engaging with Beyond Typicals in their own workflow environment?
I highly encourage you to go download the trial version and test it out. When you do it, you're going to find out that you can use it in a lot more places than it's made for, right? You know, like I was saying earlier, you know, we've learned with this new photo compositing that you can actually showcase something much better with this, you know, and not just as a typical section, right? It will show a road design with real environment, you know, in the background, and that makes a lot of people more aware of things in design if the actual background is shown. You know, like I was saying earlier, you know, you can show something like that in InfraWorks or Twinmotion, but you usually have to use, you know, some kind of generic building or something. It's not the actual building with the signage on it and all that. People love that, you know.
Yeah, things like that go a long, long way, particularly, you know, at those open planning boards.
Absolutely.
Help take down the 4-hour argument from Mrs. Smith, who doesn't want it, you know, blocking her view of the apple tree across the street. It's like, no, ma'am, you can see right here. It's not.
Great analogy.
Yep. It's exactly. Oh, God, I've sat through so many of those meetings. Oh, goodness. All right, folks. I guess on that note, we're going to bounce out of here. But before we do, I just want to say thank you one more time to Todd for being here. It is always a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, guys. It's always fun to be here. And, you know, whenever you need me, I'm here for you.
Outstanding. All right, folks.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to get out of here, and we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.